A very good evening and welcome to the national broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
And I am Dushan Veerakon, and we start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight. Assistance from Australia to transform Sri Lanka into an educational hub in the region. The cause for the recent domestic gas-related incidents was a change in the gas composition, a revelation by the Committee to Probe Gas-Related Incidents. The government says the move to increase the fuel prices is a step taken to prevent the rapid decline of the country's foreign reserves. Severe impacts on patients due to doctors' strike action. A youth swept away into the air while flying a kite. Now, in a top story for tonight, the Australian Minister of Home Affairs, Karen Andrews, says that assistance will be provided to Sri Lanka to become an educational hub in the region. Minister Andrews pointed out that this will be enabled by establishing education institutions in Sri Lanka which provide facilities to students from other countries who wish to pursue degrees in Australia to study the basic stages of relevant courses in Sri Lanka. The minister made these remarks during the meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Plans are afoot to implement a special project in collaboration with the State Ministry of Skills Development, Vocational Education, Research and Innovations to develop vocational and professional skills. The amount allocated for this project is 12 million Australian dollars. Minister Andrews stated that the Australian government intends to bring in Australian products to Sri Lanka to add value and re-export with the objective of developing Sri Lanka's industries. Commending Sri Lanka's policy on green agriculture, the minister said that Australia was also interested in sustainable agriculture. The year 2022 marks the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Australian Minister Andrews lauded the actions taken by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to further strengthen the long-standing friendship between the two countries. President Rajapaksa recalled the assistance provided by the Australian government to the COVID-19 control program in Sri Lanka by making a donation of 11.7 million Australian dollars. When the President was the Secretary of Defence, an agreement was reached with the then Australian Minister of Defence, Scott Morrison, to prevent human trafficking. Expressing his pleasure over Prime Minister Scott Morrison's current role as the Australian Premier, the President said that he expects a strong mechanism between the two countries to curb drug trafficking, piracy and human trafficking. Minister Andrews said her government would continue to support the work of maintaining the stability of the Indian Ocean and would continue to monitor the security of the region. The President said that the government is taking measures to work with the diaspora with an understanding and to reform certain provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Australian High Commissioner David Hawley and Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pieris were present at this occasion.
The committee appointed to probe into the incidents relating to the gas explosions revealed that the cause for the recent incidents was a change in the composition of the gas. The members of the committee made these remarks during a media briefing held at the Government Information Department today. The chairman of the committee appointed to probe into the incident related to gas explosions and find solutions, Professor Shantha Valpolagi, said that all appliances utilized for cooking purposes using domestic gas have been in use for many years. However, he said that only factor which has changed was the domestic gas. He said that they have clearly mentioned in their report that the composition of the gas cylinder has been changed. He said that the composition of gas cylinders has not been regulated properly.
In the meantime, the government says that the move to increase the fuel prices is a step taken to avoid the rapid decline of the country's foreign reserves. Minister Dallas Alha Peruma, speaking at the media briefing held to announce the cabinet decision, said that a sum of 350 to 400 million US dollars have to be allocated on a monthly basis for the importation of fuel. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that the prices of all types of fuel have been revised from midnight yesterday. Accordingly, a litre of petrol octane 92 has been increased up to 177 rupees. The new price of a litre of octane 95 is 207 rupees. A litre of auto diesel has been increased from 111 rupees to 121 rupees. The new price of a litre of super diesel is 159 rupees. A litre of kerosene, which was at 77 rupees, has been increased up to 87 rupees. Cabinet spokesman Minister Dallas Alha said that the oil reserves in the country have declined. He said that the existing reserves are at 1.5 billion US dollars. Accordingly, the minister said that the decision to increase the fuel prices was reached after discussions held among all relevant institutions, including the Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance, as a solution to minimize the impact on the existing foreign reserves. He said that the government bears a sum of 350 to 400 million US dollars for fuel importation in each month, which continuously burdens the existing reserves of the country. Therefore, the minister said that the Ministry of Finance as well as the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Central Bank are on the stance that the usage of fuel should be managed. He said that this move will not benefit the economic growth of the country. He added that the prevailing situation had not occurred due to the policies of the government, but due to long-term issues related to state planning and policies as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. He further said that many countries, including the United States, are faced with a fuel crisis. Therefore, he said that the government has to identify the crisis and find solutions accordingly. Also, he said that the public will be informed of the decisions taken by the government in this regard. The minister responded to queries raised by journalists regarding the increase of the cost of living. Minister Dallas Alha said that as per a discussion held with the Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Kabral, the estimated inflation of the country is at 3%. He said that the Central Bank is on the stance that a discipline should be maintained over the usage. He added that the government is deliberating at present on the ways to extend assistance for people who have been severely affected from the prevailing situation and on the need to direct attention on renewable energy in the country.
Many patients have faced severe difficulties due to the strike action launched by the Government Medical Officers Association based on 7 demands. The action has emphasized that the strike action will continue until a firm solution is provided for these issues. The Government Medical Officers Association said that the island-wide strike action will not cause any hindrance for the operation of maternity hospitals, children hospitals, cancer hospital and hospitals on treatment for renal diseases, including emergency services. The representatives of the association also said that the strike action will not hinder the COVID-19 immunization program as well. Central Committee member of the GMOA, Dr. Prasad Kolambage, said that the Ministry of Health had failed to reach policy decision to assign doctors to remote areas and to allocate necessary transfers. He said that the procedure should be conducted within an appropriate and a transparent system based on a legal and a scientific methodology. The Ministry of Health has said that the transfer of the medical officers should be conducted within an appropriate methodology. Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, said that the ministry selected 500 institutions based on priority after receiving a vacancy list from 2,500 to 3,000 institutions. Accordingly, he said that based on merit orders of doctors, the necessary application process was opened on an online platform. He said that doctors can submit their application through this process. Subsequently, he said that doctors will receive their relevant appointments automatically through a computer system based on their priority list. Accordingly, he said that the selected 500 applicants will obtain their appointments. Therefore, he said that no one has been imparted from this situation.
Now, health authorities have said that a global increase in COVID-19 patients has been forecasted following the upcoming festive seasons. Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemant Herath, pointed out that the spread of the virus can be controlled and the country can be safeguarded if all act responsibly.
We know that we have faced many challenges during the past 1 year, and at the moment we are in a good position where a number of cases are going down. However, there are so many forecasts published in various parts of the world, including in Sri Lanka, that there could be a rise of cases after the New Year and after the Christmas and the New Year. We cannot wait until these forecasts become a reality. We have to take all possible measures to make sure that these forecasts are not going to be a reality, for which what we can do is everyone should take their responsibility into their hands and make sure that all health guidelines are adhered to, and also make sure that all have got the proper vaccination, especially the third dose of vaccine should have been taken by now, and thereby we will be able to make sure that there will be no excess rise of cases after this festive season, and thereby we can protect ourselves and also our loved one in the coming year.
We definitely have detected cases of Omicron here in Sri Lanka. And then what percentage of Omicron is available here in Sri Lanka, myself is not aware, and I don't think that it is an easy question to answer, because we will have to wait until we get a sort of fairly big sample, results of a fairly big sample is being carried out by one of these laboratories. But what we know is, we know that basic principles of spread of Omicron. So we know that Omicron is spreading fast. So once we have detected Omicron here in Sri Lanka, I think that we know that how fast the Delta variant was spread here in Sri Lanka. So with that knowledge, we know how fast the Omicron also will spread. So we, after the end of the Christmas and New Year festive season, it's likely that there will be a rise of cases unless we take precautions and unless we complete our programs of vaccination.
Meanwhile, 518 COVID-19 infected persons were detected in the country today. The number of active cases in the country is at 8,017. A total of 294 recoveries were reported today, increasing the overall tally to 557,915. The Director General of Health Services confirmed 24 COVID-19 related deaths which had occurred yesterday. Minister Ecological Rupavahini has said that the vaccination card will be made compulsory when entering into public places from January the 1st. In a tweet, the minister has urged those who have not yet been inoculated for COVID-19 should receive the vaccines urgently. A total of 32,443,476 vaccine doses have been inoculated to the people in the country under the COVID immunization program. Accordingly, 15,969,986 persons have received the first dose of the vaccine, while 13,813,852 have received both the doses. A total of 2,659,638 have received the booster dose thus far. The island-wide program to inoculate the booster vaccine for those who are above the age of 20 was conducted successfully today. Now, in more local stories, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today released 1,000 ecological floating islands to Beria Lake, initiating the purifying process of the lake. Beria Lake has been polluted due to unauthorized urbanization and improper upgrading of sewerage infrastructure in the city of Colombo. The ecological floating islands method was implemented under the guidance of Chairman of the Land Development Corporation, retired Major General M.R.W. De Zoysa. Ecologist Ranoshi Siripala points out that the experiment conducted for water purification by planting plants such as cannas, savandera and heliconia using PVC pipes, bamboo and foam mattresses as floating supports has yielded successful results. Plants in floating wetlands absorb excess nutrients carried in the water. This reduces the amount of algae in the water and purifies the water, whilst eliminating odors and maintaining an ecological balance by providing a habitat for water-dependent organisms. Water surface beautification is another benefit. The Land Development Corporation chairman pointed out that the project is expected to play an indirect role in controlling the diseases caused by the mosquito menace. He said a number of other benefits such as an increased density of fish can also be achieved at a very low cost from this project. State Minister Mohan P. De Silva was also present at this occasion.
A youth in Jaffna was swept away into the air while flying a kite and sustained injuries after falling onto the ground. This rare incident was reported from Puloli, Point Pedro area in Jaffna. A group of youth in the area had crafted a massive kite and made the attempt to send it to the air with the use of a strong cable. They were able to fly the kite by holding the cable tightly while maintaining the balance. However, one of the youth continued to hold on the cable up to a considerable distance and swept away into the air with the cable. Our correspondent said that the youth had swept away up to a certain distance of 40 feet while tightly holding onto the kite's cable. Even though his friends screamed at him to let go of the cable, he continued to grab onto the cable in fear of severe injuries. Subsequently, when he was close to 20 feet from the ground, he had released his grip from the cable and had fallen onto the ground, surviving with minor injuries. He was later admitted to Point Pedro Base Hospital for treatment.
Meanwhile, the book titled The Echo of Geneva Defeat, authored by the Chancellor of the University of Colombo and the Chief Incumbent of the Abhayarama Temple, Venerable Muruttettuwe Anandathera, was presented to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. Venerable Anandathera's book is based on a study of news in relation to the Geneva-based efforts of various international organizations to influence Sri Lanka's sovereignty, as well as based on his experience in the process of finding solutions to national problems. Meanwhile, the book titled Hidden Stories in Politics, written by former Minister Gunapala Tissakuttiarachchi, was also presented to the President. The chief incumbent of the Sama Vihara, Havelock Town in Colombo, Venerable Atapattu Kande Anandathera, was also present at this occasion.
Co-cabinet spokesman Minister Ramesh Patirana says that the country should be able to recover from the revealing economic crisis during next year. He further said that the government has taken remedial measures to improve export and rebuild the economy with the support of the tourism industry.
All this happens under unforeseen circumstances, as you know, with the corona and COVID situation enveloping the whole world. So we nearly lost about $10 billion income for last 2 years from tourism alone. The foreign remittance has gone down. Nearly we have lost about 14 billion for last 2 years. So if you consider the total amount of loans that we need to repay over a long period of time, it's about 42 billion. So you can see the gamut of it. And we have lost about $14 billion for last 2 years. And now it's coming back to normalcy. We are very hopeful that even under difficult circumstances, our export performances were decent. And having these difficulties only, we have started restricting imports in 2020. Yes, we restricted importation of motor vehicles and also the other products that could be produced in this country. We saw that. And also as the policy, the government did not take loans having understood the gravity of the scenario. You know, successive Sri Lankan governments had taken loans over a period of time since we started our economic policy in 1977 towards a market economic policy. All the governments had taken loans, but we have been repaying all these loans. That's the important fact about it. None of the governments of this country had defaulted loan repayment. And even now, under this grave situation, we as the government are very confident that we should be able to repay the loans of ours. So that's a difficult scenario. But to remedy this situation, yes, we need to improve our exports. We need to curtail our imports. And also we need to rebuild the economy with the support of the tourism industry. We need to send people for their foreign jobs. We have to ensure that we get the foreign remittances. All those are the multifaceted approaches. So government has taken all these initiatives and we are continuously supporting all these sectors. And we keep our fingers crossed that we should be able to come out of this situation in 2022.
Now, the number of subsidy installments provided for recultivation and new cultivations of rubber has been revised. Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval yesterday to provide the relevant subsidy, which was extended through a 7-year scheme over a period of 5 years. Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Ramesh Patirana said that a higher demand and a higher rate persist for rubber in the country after a long time. Also, he said that Sri Lanka has received a recorded revenue in the year 2021 for rubber-based products. He said that as a stimulus to promote new cultivations and recultivations, the relevant subsidy was extended in 8 installments within a period of 7 years. Accordingly, he said that the Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to revise the subsidy scheme and extend it in 5 installments over a period of 5 years. He said that 70% of the subsidy will be provided within the first 2 years of the 5-year scheme.
ප්‍රමාණයක් පළමු වසර දෙක තුල ලබා දීම සඳහා ඉදිරිපත් කරන ලද යෝජනාවට කැබිනට් මණ්ඩල අනුමැතිය ඉයල.
The Cabinet of Ministers has decided to extend the grace period for the payment of electricity bills for the tourist accommodation providers for another 2 years. The relevant Cabinet paper was presented by Minister Prasanna Ranatunga. The aim of the government is to rebuild the tourism industry, which was severely affected from the COVID-19 pandemic. The government has decided to sign the first ever multilateral agreement on banning nuclear weapons and initiate the applicable national legal formulation review with the objective of finalizing the ratification process. The relevant cabinet proposal was tabled by Minister Professor G.L. Pieris. Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to allot nearly a 10-perch land close to Battaramulla for popular singer Yohani De Silva, who brought international fame to the country. The relevant proposal was tabled by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Christmas Carol Concert 2021, jointly organised by the Southern Provincial branches of the Carlton Preschool Group, was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. The event was held at the Tangol Carlton Preschool premises. Children in Beliatta, Veerakatiya, Ranna, Walasmulla, Matara and Tangol preschools belonging to the Carlton Preschool Group showcased a colourful carol display at the concert. Prime Minister praised the preschool children who showcased their talents exceptionally. All children received certificates and prizes from Director of the Group, Spouse of Prime Minister, Mrs. Shriramthi Vikramasinghe Rajapaksa, and the Principal of the Carlton Preschool. State Minister D.V. Chanaka, Chairman of the Southern Provincial Council, Somavansa Kodagoda, Chairman of the Ceylon Salt Corporation, Attorney at Law, Nishantha Sandhabarana were present at this occasion.
Now, former governors and a group of attorneys emphasized that the actions of the opposition have turned into a completely irresponsible state amidst the prevailing situation. Now, they have made these observations by directing a letter to General Secretary of the United National Party, MP Palitha Range Bandara. Former Governors, President's Council Maitri Gunratna, Rajit Kirti Tenakon, Asad Sali and attorney Shiral Laktilaka and Gunratna Vandinayaka have undersigned the letter. At a time when Sri Lanka is facing the most challenging period after independence, it is essential for the opposition to agree on a series of measures based on a common policy to safeguard the country. The letter has indicated that declaring presidential candidates would not resolve the crisis faced by the country, and the public awaits the declared APT measures for the betterment of the country. Those who gathered around the victory of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa during the previous presidential election have been divided into several groups. The United National Party, the Samagi Janabalawege, MPs who have elected from the opposition yet support the government are expecting to join the government, but the parliamentarians who are not willing to join hands have dismayed with their own parties and are engaging in discussions to join with other groups with similar interest. The letter has requested all stakeholders in the opposition to commence a series of structured discussions to formulate a policy framework to safeguard the nation from the prevailing crisis. The undersigned parties have said that they will commit to provide necessary facilities for the structured discussion if the opposition agrees with this proposition.
The National Border Risk Assessment Centre, initiated under a concept of the President, was declared open yesterday. The event was held at the Suhurupaya premises in Battaramulla. The National Border Park Risk Assessment Centre was declared open with the participation of the Australian Minister of Home Affairs Karen Andrews and Minister Chamal Rajapaksa. The newly established centre is a part of the country's integrated border management strategy under the Ministry of Defence with the technical support from the International Organisation for Immigration and funding assistance from the Government of Australia. This initiative will allow Sri Lankan border management agencies to share collective intelligence system, resources and real-time data to enable lawful travel and trade while detecting and responding to unlawful activities. The nationwide rollout program on the acceptance of QR payment reached between Nations Trust Bank and Road Development Authority has been promoted across the country. The rollout program to uplift the island-wide digital payment system has been initiated through Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The relevant project was inaugurated at the Kottawa interchange with the presence of Minister Namal Rajapaksa and Johnston Fernando and Governor of Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral. State Minister Piyal Nishantha engaged in an observational tour in Pudukudu Iruppu area in Mullative to look into the progress of the investigations conducted on the death of the 13-year-old child. A meeting in this regard was held at the Muhudubada Pattuwa Divisional Secretariat Division in Mullative. Parliamentarians Kada Mastan and Suren Raghavan were present on this occasion.
Welcome back now in our sports stories. For tonight, the 106th National Tennis Championship was concluded yesterday at the Sri Lanka Tennis Association grounds. The tournament was organized by the Ceylon Tennis Association. Close to 600 athletes took part in this year's championship. The tournament was held under various age categories, open and professional level competitions. Anjalika Kurera and Janali Manamperi qualified for the women's single finals. Anjalika Kurera became the national women's tennis champion by winning the match 6-3 and 6-2. Yasda De Silva and Chaturya Nilavira qualified for the men's finals. Yasda De Silva claimed the men's tennis championship by winning the finals 6-7, 6-4 and 6-4. The Intersports Club's Netball Championship was organized by the Colombo District Netball Federation, concluded recently. The matches were played at Torrington Stadium in Colombo and over 20 teams participated in the tournament. Well, that's a wrap of tonight's Primetime News Bulletin here at Rupavahini ChannelEye, and until we meet again next time, do take care, stay safe and good night.
Good night.